Hi, my name is Afzal Hussain. I'm an ex-student from Sydney Russell, and I'm here to speak. I'm very lucky to be invited as an IAM speaker to speak to students from year 10 to 13, and just hopefully, answer any questions they might have, and to show them what my experiences were like as a person who was in their position a few years ago. So a bit about myself is that I went to Sydney Russell School from year 7 till year 11. And then I was very fortunate to receive a scholarship to study at Eton College for 2 years, which is a private boarding school in Eton near Slough. After that, I was very lucky to now be studying in Princeton University in New Jersey, which is a liberal arts college and part of the Ivy League. And yeah, so essentially today is all about seeing what questions these students have and whether or not I can help them in any way possible in terms of giving them advice and pointing them my direction, or just like, showing that I've also had similar experiences to them. That's a great question, because one of the reasons I went to the US is because I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do in the future. And in fact, yesterday I met a friend from Oxford who's in the second year. And a few years ago, he wanted to really work in the banking industry. And I asked him yesterday, and he now wants to be an academic, as in he wants to do a master's degree and then a PhD. And so I think two ways to answer this is the first is that even to this day, I know people much older than me who are in the final year of university, who are literally working in certain fields that have no idea what they want to do. Another great example is one of my debate coaches. They were working in the tech sector, and they are currently doing a degree. No, they're currently doing a teaching degree because they now decided to want to be a teacher. And so honestly, from other people's experiences, it's very hard to know what you want to do. And so personally, I guess the way I found or moved forward in that uncertainty, like me not knowing what I want to do, is followed the things I was passionate at. So for example, I really like politics, economics, those sort of subjects. So I'm doing them at university, and hopefully that leads me to some place where I can continue learning about those things. So yeah, I don't think you are going to be, you will know for certain that you want to do something. Until then, just follow the things you like, and that will be great. That's a great question, because most of the time as I applied to Eton, it was a mixture of sometimes feeling like, yep, I'm definitely going to smash this, I'm going to get in, to also feeling like, wow, this is a really big waste of time because I'm not going to get in. And you always have those feelings, right? Sometimes you come into school and you feel like, yep, I'm on top of this. This maths class was really easy. I'm definitely on it. Other times you have a really hard topic, like, I don't know, quadratic equations, and all of a sudden you feel like, wow, this is definitely not a subject for me. So more specifically going back to Eton, a lot of the times I overcame those feelings because, look, at the end of the day, if you ever move through life, whether going to sixth form, college, university, apprenticeship, whatever, there are always times you're going to feel like you don't belong there, you're an outsider. And at those moments, you just got to back yourself up. You got to have faith in yourself, because honestly, if you don't have faith in yourself, then it doesn't matter if other people do, because you won't believe it. And that's when you like lose all motivation, right? So sometimes you just have to have confidence in your decisions, and you got to follow through. It's a very complicated journey, right? As in, it's not finished yet, and there's definitely a lot of bumps. For example, it might seem like I'm going to a great university, everything's fine, but last semester I felt really homesick in December, especially because the university was like, international students can potentially not come back if they go back home. I also had certain classes I did very bad in the exams because university is much harder than sixth form. So yeah, it's been a very difficult journey, and it's still a difficult journey. And even throughout GCSEs and sixth form, there are always times when certain mocks I did well, other mocks I did not as well as I wanted to, and it's a journey full of ups and downs. But the way I get through this journey, and the way I recommend, is to have support systems. So for me, it's always talking to my old teachers, old friends, new friends, and sharing things that are difficult, but also just having people there to support me when I do need it. It was definitely hard, like the jump from A levels, especially because my A levels were cancelled. I had to do assessments instead of actual A levels. So having that, as in not having actual A levels and all of a sudden jumping to a very fast-paced and difficult system, was very hard. And you do have to work really hard, and it's hard because you have to do it by yourself. Like right now, I remember during year 11, 10, right? I had a timetable. I would go to certain classes at certain times. Right now, I have lectures that I can go to. If I don't go to it, I'll be behind in the classes, but it's still something I have to choose. Similarly with studying, I have to decide how much time I have to do. So I say, well, the biggest difficulty about Princeton and university in general is the fact that you have to decide how you use your time, and depending on that, you'll have a good or bad time. Characteristics that really helped me to get to this point is the willingness to ask for help, because I don't think there was ever a point where I was perfect or good enough to get to where I am by myself, right? I think the best characteristic is the fact that a lot of the times you will mess up, a lot of the times you will have no idea how to do applications or how to write a formal letter or how to do certain things, especially when you're from backgrounds like Berkeley and Dagenham, like me, in which case, my parents, they're first generation immigrants, so they came over from another country. They don't really know a lot of things. And so in those instances, reach out to people. Like even your teachers are big sources of help, right? I think if you guys ask Dr. Sochi for help with certain things, she might very much help you with those sort of things. Like, IAM, for example, right? It's a community. And for me, I had a community through debating. And so I do a lot of debating even at Princeton. And I have a lot of friends that might be like, oh, Afzal, you're doing this class. I did that last semester. Do you want some help? And I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. Well, other times I go up to people and say, wow, you did this class. I'm doing this class. Can you help me out with this piece of homework? And so so I think the biggest thing is that a lot of people think that the smartest people are smart on their own. That is not true. The smartest individuals are the ones who know their limits, are able to reach and rely on others for help when they do need it. And so for you guys, I think that's a great step already. You're in IAM. Like, if you guys ever need any help, you can certainly talk to Dr. Sochi, to each other even. Like if you're in year 10, talk to the year 13, see how it's like to be in sixth form, whether they recommend this sixth form, right? Those are questions you can ask all the time. And yeah, that's a great question, by the way. So I'd say the biggest difference between the UK and the US system is that in the UK, you have to decide on your degree, as in what subject you want to specialize in from the moment you apply at age 18. So, halfway through year 12 to halfway through year 13 is the application process. And you have to decide whether you want to do maths, whether you want to do engineering, whether you want to do politics and international relations, whether you want to do sociology, psychology, all of that stuff. Personally, I found that really difficult because I'm indecisive. I don't know what I want to study yet, especially when I was in year 13 or year 12. So the difference in the US is that you have a few more years to decide what you want. Like you can do a liberal arts degree or an engineering degree. If you do a liberal arts degree, you have to do certain classes that are required for everyone. But other than that, you can choose whatever classes you want. And second or third year, you get to decide what major you want. So for example, I can choose 2 years from now whether I want to do a computer science major or an economics major or an international relations major or a politics major, right? So I have 2 years to decide, which is a benefit of the US system. So I think the biggest differences is its flexibility, but there's also a difference in terms of the culture. In the US, they have a really nice college identity. Everyone's really into it. There's also sports. Like in the US, you can be recruited as an athlete and get into universities with that system. So that's the biggest differences between the two. In terms of the extracurriculars, there are massive variety and focus on extracurriculars in the US system. So for example, like I do debating, I'm also part of a few other clubs such as football, badminton, and there is a big push for everyone to do those sort of extracurricular clubs. Similarly, there's also a big push for career clubs. So there's a lot of clubs around careers like, consulting, banking, and people start those things early on in the US. Yeah, so there is a big push for the extracurriculars in the US, and that is massive difference. In terms of diversity, there were some people from our background, but not as many as you'd have liked. And obviously that's true for a lot of institutions. Like I visited Oxford the other day, and to be perfectly honest with you, majority of it was very white, middle class. And you just have to think in those instances that it's very easy to see that and go, wow, this place is not for me. But at the end of the day, you have to see it as a place where you can change, right? You have to be the change and say, you know what, this place may not have as many people like me, but if I go there, there's going to be one more person of my background there. And so next time someone sees there, they'll be like, oh, wow, Afzal went to that place. So yeah, maybe someone like me can be there as well. And so, yeah, throughout life, a lot of jobs, apprenticeships, universities, schools, you'll sometimes feel like there's not a lot of people of your background there. And in those instances, it's tough, but you have to try to be the change there. Okay, so that's a great question, because even now, in Princeton, they offer student services that literally help you with procrastination. So like even in a very supposedly super smart university like Princeton, people deal with procrastination. So that's the first thing. It's not something that you guys alone deal with. Everyone deals with procrastination. But the best way to deal with procrastination is to think about it as so it's about self-discipline. One of my friends who started university, from day one, she had routines. And it was very hard for her at the beginning, right? Because obviously when you're starting a new habit, when you're learning a new language, when you're learning a new hobby, it's very hard at the beginning. But over time, she had a nice schedule and she had a lot of self-discipline. Like every day at 10 o'clock, she'd go to sleep. She would make sure her homework or her essays or assignments are done a week before they're due. In comparison, me and some others, we were going to sleep at crazy hours, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. We were doing terrible amounts of partying. We were doing terrible amounts of procrastination. So I remember literally one time I did my homework a few hours after it was due. I lost a lot of points for that, because if you do late homework, you lose like half the marks. Another time I did an essay a few days after it was due, and my professor literally emailed like the head person of my residential college, as well as the director of studies for that subject. So it was quite serious stuff. But I am learning from my mistake very much. And this term I am, I'm trying to do positive things. I'm trying to use Google Calendar more. I'm trying to cut down on the time I spend on TikTok or Instagram, because if you think about it, it is quite addictive, right? It's very hard to turn away from TikTok. And if you don't have that self-control, then the best thing you can do is just move it away from yourself. So to answer the question, procrastination has affected my studies, but it is something you have to learn to control. It is something you have to discipline. And a great way to discipline is to have accountability buddies. So have a friend that you go studying with, go on FaceTime with them if you can't meet in person. And if either of you, procrastinate or go on your phone, you can keep each other in check. Be like, okay, you know what, you should be working, or like, can you get off your phone, please? It's the same way, if you have a gym partner, it's easier to go to the gym, because if it's just by yourself, you can be like, I don't want to go to the gym today. But if you know your friend is waiting for you to go to the gym, it's very hard to say no in that instance.
Thank you, Afzal, for having a chat with our students, and you're going to inspire everyone and motivate them to hopefully do better in school, especially on this year. We have a lot of students in year 11 and 13 that require to see it from your mouth rather than from adults' mouth most of the time.
Yeah.
And what I would add as well is be an ambassador of the subject that you are passionate about, the subject that you love. Be resilient that you might stumble, but you're still on time. The year is not finished. And make sure that you look for, in the case of IAM growth, anyone that is an older student can help a younger student and vice versa. And one, you become a part of a sorority or fraternity, which we have mentioned at Princeton University, very much at Eton College, and at Universal School. You will be seen different. You don't have to be the 100% perfect, super intelligent guy, but you have to show that you improve every single day. Okay? So Afzal, we don't know how to thank you enough. Hopefully.
Thank you for inviting me. Yeah.
No, thank you for coming. And I'll see you soon, guys. Thank you for joining IAM. As usual, you are outstanding. Thank you very much.